this conversation today is just a conversation. It doesn't necessarily have a theme, topic. It just has thoughts. You've been thinking, I've been thinking, people have been thinking, and we just want to share thoughts. Now, as to share these thoughts, then the intention is to highlight principles, values zenye tunaweza leave behind. I want to start with the first principle. There's a principle that says, you show me your trophies, you intimidate me. Mm-hmm. You show me your scars, you inspire me. Mm-hmm. You show me how your scars became your victory, then you transform my life. Mm-hmm. As simple as that statement in a sound, your statement, how is it that no one wants to execute it? How is it that no one wants to strip, to show their scars? That's where I would want us to start. First of all, do you feel that your principle in resonate to true reality?
I think we are a product of how we grew up.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
And most of our life is based around the foundations that our parents instilled in us. When I look at my life and the past, how we were generally brought up, it's mainly based on getting knowledge of the environment which I grew up with. I'm a product of the 60s, late 60s, and it's been a roller coaster of a journey.
Yes.
And the hardest thing, like I was saying...
As a city boy, I'm a village boy.
City
I'm
boy.
a hybrid.
Born and bred in the city. But there's a part of the village which is in me, I'll be able to bring out. But what I'm saying is, our parents in young age always expected us to perform well. In school, even in the estate or wherever you grew up, your parents expected you to behave in a certain way. Yeah. They also expected you to achieve certain dreams.
Like number one, was that realistic? Everyone
of course not.
To be number one.
No.
And
what is number one?
The whole time.
Okay, so if you're number one and then
10 kilometers to school and all that narrative.
My story is a bit different because you'll see.
Yeah, but their narrative was almost the same guy.
But I want to go somewhere with this.
Yeah.
Our parents grew up in really abject poverty.
Yes.
My dad was born in 1927, so he grew up in the old ways, totally, completely old ways. Yeah. My mom, a little later in life, much later in life, and of course, we were a polygamous family. But that's not the point. The thing is, they grew up in poverty. My dad, especially towards, I can't say he was in the Mau Mau because he ended up being a senior prisons officer. He joins the prisons in the maybe 50s, I think in the 50s.
Yeah.
In the 50s, he became a senior prisons officer. And then over and above that, everything he has done is achieved by sweat and blood.
Sheer hard work.
Sheer hard work. And driving themselves to the bone. What is they were always doing, and I got to know because I had a serious conversation with my mom when she was turning 70, and a group of her friends. They were always running away from poverty. They want to leave it. They can't go back. That's why once they achieve, and that's why maybe we didn't understand many of our parents, was, you can't do this, you can't do this, this is how things are done. For them, it was always about never going back to the village circumstances and situation. Once they got out, all they needed was security, a sense of security that provided them with a safe space. I can't go back. I have an interesting story which I got to know from my mom. Her and her sisters used to brought up in Nyeri Odhaya.
Yeah.
One of the things is that they would go to school. Mm-hmm. The school was divided into two, in that there was school in the morning and another group in the afternoon. So they had only one uniform with the girls. Mm-hmm. So my mom, who was the older one, would wear the uniform in the morning. Anaenda shule. Akirudi, wanakutana na sister akienda shule in the afternoon, anamtolea uniform, anavaa ile alikuwa nayo. Anaenda home.
Jikaze sasa.
There was only one uniform.
Allah.
On top of that, where they lived in the house, they were where they used to sleep. Mbuzi, unajua goats and cows and women were considered almost the same.
Yeah.
Goats were housed in the house, and you slept next to the goats, and the girls. So that life of poverty and grinding the dirt is where they are today. And you have to understand why they expected us, once they got out of that, to provide, to create an environment for us to thrive only by success, not by failure. See, then they succeeded to get out of the poverty from the village life. They were all living in mud houses. They moved to get a house, a stone house. Eventually akavaa viatu, amevaa rinda ile anapenda, anaweza badilisha nguo 2 3 4. Why would I want to go back in that kind of life? I want only success for you. All I want is success for you, not failure.
And to them, going back is like a disease. Like,
let me tell you, my mom, I cannot go back. I cannot. Siwezi rudi hapo. They are so determined. That's why you find they're the biggest investors in our country.
Yeah.
Our old parents needed security. They went and invested in houses. They're the first people to buy Mugunda, Shamba.
It's true.
Nani alikuwa those are the people who bought plots and Shamba. Yes.
It's
so
true.
So for them, when they were telling you, wewe mbona umekuja number 30 out of 35.
What's wrong with you?
Kwani uko na wazimu? Kwani sijakupatia, si unasoma? Si uko shule? Kuna wengine huyu alipata first, kwani yeye alikuwa anasomea wapi? Mwalimu alikuwa different? No. Shule ilikuwa different? Hapana. Na mbona ulikuja number 34, 35? But they don't understand that where they came from was so derelict, and
it was literally survival.
It was survival. It was hard. It was hard, and they were hammered into that life. You must get out and go and succeed.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, once they stepped out, they didn't look back.
But they never
They didn't look back. And it's unusual.
Because at that time, there was nothing.
What was there?
There was literally nothing.
And then, sometimes the younger generation may think state of emergency was not a joke. The Kikuyus, many of them were rounded up from there, wherever they were, put into small villages, where you're told, utaenda unalima pale unarudi. So even where you used to stay, where you thought was your home, didn't become your home anymore. So they ended up, everything was such a struggle. Even finally when things started turning around and when they ran away to the city, kwisha. So if someone, like my dad, I know once he joined the prison service, he slowly grew in stature. By the time he was resigning, he was retiring in 1981 at the age of 55, and I'm just 2 years shy from that. He was comfortable in his life.
Because he started early.
He started early. My dad was tight with his money. He was very tight.
They were frugal.
Not just frugal, tight. My dad's money to come out, shilingi moja hivi.
Yeah.
I remember even there's a time I was in a day school from 5 and 6 where I went, after I didn't pass too well, I went to repeat my form 6.
In Kenya or UG?
Nairobi too. No, in the village. I went to the village.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, my dad used to just pay fees and he walks away.
Tumemalizana.
Nini gini unataka? Ati sisi nataka, I need fare, I need nini. No. So you'd end up doing small businesses. Unatafuta, so my mother would make, so when I'm going, nikirudi shule, napanga na mother, ananitengenezea chapo. Mingi, naenda nauzia watu shule.
Unapata kitu.
Natapata kitu. But these are some of the things that when you reflect and you ask yourself, where did these things come from? That's where it comes from. So anyway, I did not grow up I was privileged. My father, in fact, it was so good that in terms of, I grew up in Nairobi here, in a place called Woodley Estate, just here next to Jamhuri, not far on Ngong Road.
Upper.
Yes. Then I went to a good school, St. George's Primary. That time, St. George's was the high cost school in the 70s.
It was premium.
Premium.
Yeah.
You had
it was St. George's and State House.
Yes. Many students from State House up to the controller of State House and others came to St. George's. A Mercedes with a crown in front used to drop them in school in the morning, lunchtime, and the evening. Yes. On top of that, we had senior officers. In the same school, my dad, his commissioner. We went to his children in the same school, St. George's Primary. We had Muzungu teachers. We learned things like music with the decoders and the piano and other things. So it was not lack of, but just that my dad was tight. His chums zilikuwa zake. So one of the things my dad always told us, pesa yangu ni yangu na bibi yangu. Wewe tafuta yako. So what did it do? It made me believe that there's no hope here in terms of trying to sit down and wait for it to happen. There's no free lunch. So for me, one of the big decisions I said was that me sitafanyia mtu kazi. I don't want to be like my dad, which was either a mistake or because you're successful in your own right.
Yeah.
He did well.
Yeah.
He
left the village.
He did well for himself. I tell you, he did very well. He was, I can say in whatever terms, he was wealthy enough. He was wealthy enough.
Yeah.
He had property all over the place. We are a big family. He made sure we were all comfortable in the end.
As many as you are.
We are 18 children.
18?
Yes.
Hakuna mtu alela njaa?
Well, no, I can't say anyone slept. No, certainly not. And even when by the time he was passing away, he had made sure we were all left comfortable. So that was not the issue. Just that for him and our parents, the theory behind everything was that you must work for yourself and work hard.
Yeah.
Mimi, if you're not achieving, hata mzazi alikuwa anakuambia kwenda kabisa. Wewe sio mtoto wangu. You can't be my... So one of the big things, I have a lot of things from my past in terms of, like now. Yeah. So I went to St. George's Primary.
Yeah.
During the holidays, which was very strange, we'd go to Shags. I come from Kirinyaga near Karatina town.
Yes.
Alikuwa na shamba eka 5 ya kahawa na vitu vingi. You'd go to dig.
Kazi?
Yes. To prune the crops, you pick the coffee, select it, take it to the factory. When non-coffee days, you are in the shamba digging, unapewa line yako, hii ni yako. Kwa mpaka hapa, lima. Mali utaiacha kesho, utaendelea nayo kesho.
Ni yako.
So, in fact, one of the things that came out of it, in as much as I hated going that time, was that I don't fear any work. I am not afraid to get my hands dirty.
Because you're not choosing.
No, I am willing to try out anything, even if other people may think this is not for... I don't struggle.
Davana.
Yes.
Interesting.
So that's one of the biggest things I can say. But when we say failures, let me explain.
Yeah.
Our parents did not understand the word failure. No. What do you mean failure? What do you mean?
There.
No. There's no word called failure.
You succeed or die.
You utakufa.
You know, laziness was literally a disease.
It was.
To them.
No, you cannot be lazy.
Yeah.
You are beaten by the whole village for being lazy.
Because that was a disease. It's like a disease and a curse.
No, you cannot be so lazy. What do you mean? My dad, now you see, which is interesting. So we'd go sometimes, those days, you'd get prisoners to come and work for you as a senior prisons officer. But even with that, he expected us to join them in the coffee and the yard to work.
Nice.
Imagine. So that privilege was washed in not thinking that you're privileged, not to be able to do some things.
Kibuacha to rewind tape. Don't forget where we are.
Yes.
Let's rewind.
Yes.
Back kidogo.
Yes.
Let's go to your young dad who's looking at this and he's saying that state of mind of I have to get out of this situation. I must, not even I have to. Yes. I must.
Yes.
I want us to take that state of mind, try decode. Why do we have such a big disparity between your young father and let's say your young son
today?
What's wrong with them? What's the disparity?
I think one of the biggest challenges we face today is thinking, the mistake, and I'm one, I certainly am one of them, is thinking that by making your children hard work and suffer the struggle of growing up, making them work at home, is wrong. My father did not distinguish between his workers and his children. They were part of his workforce.
Labor force.
That is part of his labor force. There was no distinction. No. As guys,
extra hands.
Home, you have, even with the house help at home, because my mom had.
Made no difference.
Made no difference. You washed your own clothes from an early age. You helped in the house with cleaning and other activities.
Yeah.
You saw when we went to the village, we went and did things. So it did not, there was no privilege of my dad. To my dad, we are all the same and workers. Hata yule ambaye anatufanyia kazi si ati ni vile tu ana kazi nyingine, lakini wote ni wengu. You're all mine. Yes. So even, for example, my dad, for instance, from a young age, one of the biggest things he had was to ensure that he grows big in terms of, he needed security, and the security came only by having more and more property. My dad, even in the late, sometime in the 60s, there was Africanization of land and farms.
It was a big deal.
It was a big deal. So what they did is that he actually borrowed money from, I think, the Agricultural Finance Corporation that time, and bought land in Makuyu area. It was a big piece of land, almost 3,000 something acres, with coffee 1,600 and everything, which was there, and he was very proud of it. In fact, that's the only place we used to go and not really feel we needed to work, because
3,000 is huge.
Not 8,000, three. It's very big. Coffee was a lot. But no, it was one of the only places where we went and enjoyed that space. And it was the only place where I felt when my dad was himself. When we were together, he was in his element. He would be laughing and talking. Would be sharing that space with Chinja Kagot, and we mainly go with the boys. We would never go with the girls.
Because it's a ranch.
I know land in Nishamba. Rarely with the girls. And it was mainly the boys. And then it was even so privileged that you'd go and in the farm kulikuwa na they call dik small gazelles in the farm. Now those they call fowls. Those birds that don't fly. You know them? They call fowls.
Kiwis.
You'd go and, no, not kiwis. They're called fowls. And you go and shoot them. Yeah. So you'd go and using his gun to shoot them. Well, my point is this: it didn't. The privileges were there, but my dad
discipline
was
no
paramount. My dad gave instructions, and you followed. There was no question. It was amri, kama ile ya kupeana. Ilikuwa amri.
My way or the highway?
There was no highway. There was no other way. Hakuna ati option ya highway.
Ni my way.
No, nimesema. Unini naongea.
It's over.
I've given my instructions and they have to be followed. So you see, you have to understand sometimes why our parents were what they are. It's the struggle that they faced when they were young. By the time they were coming to the city, he came and lived, I think there were like, I don't know how many people in one room, a small room in Maringo, uko chini. And that was privilege because others were living in cotton houses somewhere else. And even as he grew in stature and became a prisons officer, and he was a bit educated. I think he had done kape. Alifanya kape. Unajua ile kuna kape ilikuwa inaitwa kape. Which they did. So he was privileged. So even when he went, he was like he had some education. He could speak some English.
Yes.
Which made a difference for him.
Them days.
Yes, it made a difference.
Interesting.
So even as he kept going for training, for promotions. I know he went to UK, he also went to Australia to get more additional training or not, and a few other countries. So it's, my mom on the other hand also was, because of how she was brought up, was always pushing us. You must succeed, you must, apana.
Yes. Even
if it meant beat us into it.
And you.
Now, of course, when I reflect, I think it was the best thing that happened in our lives.
The quality of parenting then versus the quality of parenting now has drastically changed.
It's not. We were not present.
Our parents were persuaded that I have to push you to succeed. The generation of parenting today is persuaded that I have to shield you and provide for you.
And guide you, literally hold your hand.
Literally.
Yes.
Or you don't have a job, I'll get it for you.
I'll do what needs to be. I need to bribe, I need to give.
Kwa shule, I'll find a way to get you into that school.
Yes.
And the kids of that generation,
yes.
Actually, your dad's generation, let's call it generation 1. Pre-post-colonial.
Yes.
Pre-post-colonial, it was purely survival.
It was very hard. Even for them to, I remember even for him to get his first mortgage for his house. It was serious business. How many people qualified even for mortgages as an African? Very few.
Even who would consider you?
Imagine. And that was in the 70s. I think there were only like 800 mortgages in the whole country for houses. Black. You know, there were some statistics which you start thinking.
It's true.
Why?
True.
But they got there. So for them, once they stepped out, they were never looking back. My dad was strict. He was focused. My dad even came into the house. Akikaa chini, hakuna mtu anamsumbua. Anasoma gazeti yako.
Kila mtu anaenda.
tunaondoka. Kukula kama ni TV anaona peke yake. Hatuwezi kaa na yeye generally. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yes, it was not comfortable. So it's, but when I reflect and I look back and I think that there are some things he did that made me understand authority, respect, teamwork, because you need to work with all these different people, not feeling privileged, wanting to be tenacious enough to drive and do what needs to be done. If my dad could do it, I should be able to do it too.
You should. Now this is the thing. You know what we've just described of that generation. That generation pretty much were the heroes of our day.
Yes.
Of that day. Because nothing was to stop them.
No.
Nothing. Weakness was not even a part of anything.
No, a man must work.
Yeah. Na mwanaume ajikaze.
Mwanaume ni kujikaza for sure. Yeah.
So now we are coming into a space where we are now starting to see something strange happen. That the masculine is not aijazi kikombe. There's an unknown, an unseen element of a human in a today world that unaona uko tu sawa, you are healthy, mguu zako ziko sawa, mkono zako zinafanya kazi, but you see this guy's productivity is strangled. Kumbe they are fighting something unseen.
I agree. Now, you see, when I was growing up, our fathers were very harsh and solid with us.
Yeah.
Most of them. If you ask most men my age, our fathers were crazy guys.
Lions.
Haikuwa mchezo. The only place where, and I think I reflect back and see, is that they did not hold our hands. And
vile tu ulisema earlier, they didn't see the distinction.
No.
Between chini labor.
They did not hold our hands and tell us, this is how, and sit down and explain to us in detail, or this is how, even understanding his business, if he's doing business, even understand what he's doing. There was nothing like that. It was always, they didn't see the value in sitting down with a child.
Yeah.
And naongea nini? What can you help me with? Mtoto ni unaniambia nini? I started having what you call happy-go-lucky conversations with my dad when he was, what, 60s?
Much later.
When I'm much
softened later.
Of course.
Why did he soften later?
Age.
Or what did he learn
There's
later?
nothing more to... He has achieved what he thinks he has achieved, and he's just enjoying his life now. Whatever he needs to do, he can do. He's not...
Ukali ilizimwa wapi? Because at some point there is...
It's not the ukali. Like everyone in life, there's a point where you reach and life happens. A new generation starts taking over. Even me now, I'm starting to see there's another generation behind me that's starting to make more noise than I did. So it's a generational move of life. So if he calmed down, it's just reality of life. He was just coming down like any other man or any other human being. The same way your mom...
One era replaced by a new
It's a generational movement. So he calmed down. Now we could actually sit down. And then, I think which is big, he saw me as a man.
Yeah.
Tunaweza kaa chini na mwanaume mwingine, tunaongea.
So what about you made him see you that way, outside age?
Okay, first when of course, one of the biggest achievements for him was that I went to university. It was a big achievement.
Important to him.
It was very, very important to him. So I went to university, I finished. I got, but one of the biggest challenges now, where we were doing and having our small fights, was I don't want to be employed. I should have been a teacher somewhere.
Yeah,
teaching
like
somewhere.
You'd now be a professional.
You see, now that's a profession. I can talk. Hey, my son is this. I told him I'm not interested. He couldn't understand. He told me, okay, you can join the army as a cadet because you have education.
Yes.
I told him I don't want to do any military service. So for him, he couldn't understand. You can join, but people are fighting for these positions. Why don't you go and join? And now with the education, you'll probably be employed as a cadet in the army. I told him, no, I'm not. I don't want. Even worse, I told him, I don't even want to be employed by anyone. I want to be my own person.
Where did that
He lifted up. I don't know, just thinking that one of the things, in fact, this I think came when I was in university. He told me, I'm going to make you, you're going to get a master's. He went to the States one day. Those days used to be, applications were paper. Yes. I can let you papers, you fill this university, Jaza, when I'll sort you out. You can go for your master's. I told him, why? I had a friend who had gone to the States, and American life is easy. It's not difficult. It's not easy.
It's not at all.
And I said, I can, by the time many of them go and then come back, it's like they're left behind, catching up with everyone else.
Yeah, there's a vacuum.
Yes. So I was not interested. And then I got married by 27. I got married by 27. My wife, we've been now married for almost 25 years.
Nice.
So
That's a while.
So once he realized now this man is serious, he's settling here, he's going to get married. Now he became the man that we can talk. I remember once we went to, it was called Tamarind in town. There was one near National Bank building.
Yes.
It was so expensive. But I took him for lunch. We sat down and we talked. What a moment.
And he's wondering.
And it was rare.
This young man.
Yeah, I took him for lunch. We talked. We had an easy conversation. Then a little while later, I told him, you know what, I want to get married. He was so happy and excited for me. Yeah. He was ready to walk with me that process.
Nice.
He wanted to do what needs to be done. So that was a game changer for me and him. But when I reflect, I see he didn't hold my hand through the formative years of my life. The young, do you know when most of us, unfortunately, between 7 and 14 is when our most crucial years of how many things are done, formative. Once you held your hand as you go, he was busy working. But he didn't, but even in work.
Building this thing.
Yeah, he was building the big thing. I'm not saying it was wrong, it was amazing. And he was good at it and he did it. And I really think he did well. But now, even as we are carrying on with that same tradition of tunatafuta, tunasahau, tunawa wengine. So who is guiding them to what is right? You need to be a mentor. You need to be a father figure. Yeah. You need to be the guy who's making decisions based on knowledge that you have from your past that you can hand down to your children.
Yeah.
It's just a gift which God gave us. That our work is to father the world. Even Jesus did it. He walked with other men. He was their leader and he held their hand.
Discipling.
12 of them. But you know what? It's amazing. I had this morning actually on radio. One actually, he didn't get it all perfect. Judas was still amongst them. Aliponyoka. So there's always one who will ponyoka and fail. Yeah. So failure is not wrong, but our parents didn't think we should fail. So one of the things, it took me a while, but there's a point I think I got a turning point, and I deliberately said, I want to father my son. I started asking myself questions. What is it that's going wrong with the boy child? Fatherhood. I asked myself that question. Then, when I finally got to a point where I started thinking, what can I do with my son that would be special? So I started, him and a group of young boys in the estate, we started riding bikes together. We used to ride all the way to Dagoretti, Lenana, go back home. Yeah, and it wouldn't be me. I would be just encouraging those who have bikes to ride together. Yes. We go and we come back. And then
you stop somewhere.
Not even necessarily. We've ridden. Then eventually I said, no, let's go for camping. As boys, to camp now, the young boys. They were so excited. We went to Naivasha. We had a camp. We enjoyed. The boys were boys. Walikuwa nakimbia, they sleep in the grass on mud and do what they wanted. You know, those are the things children of today don't enjoy. Yeah. But there's just so much you can't do. Boys don't jump, don't sleep. But you're stopping them from being who God called them out to be. There's energy in them. There's power in them which needs to be expounded. It's part of the expression. Yeah. But they don't. So I went to them to Naivasha. We had a good time. But what disappointed me was that we should have been about maybe 9 or 10 men. But we're only 2. All the others said, I will pay.
My kid will come.
I'll pay. But I'm not.
And then,
yeah. That's when I realized where we are. Fatherhood is not taken seriously.
Do you think it's borrowed?
And like I said, it's from my father didn't show us that.
Borrowed from there?
I think it is. Mtoto tunafanya nini na hii, tunaongea na yeye nini? What will we do together? Nothing. So and then after that I got a calling for the boy child. That's when I started reaching out to them. I finally found a friend and pastor called Pastor Simon Baby. There's a program called Boys to Men. I started going to schools where I'd engage with boys. Would have an 8-week course where I would go every week to a school. Aquinas, Jamhur, Jogoo Road High School. Then you'd go to, what do you call these places, like Highway. you'd go to Dagoretti High, Lenana. I mean, you'd go to Babadogo Prime High. Those schools that need people to talk to them. Many children, I realize, first, have no, boys especially, because it was a boys program.
Yes.
Single parent. So they don't have a father figure in their life. Yet fathers, even the Bible, father is destiny. Destiny based on what the Lord placed in us to hand down to our children.
Yes. And it's a function.
I imagine.
People see as though it's a gender.
No, it's not a gender.
Yeah.
It's not a gender.
That's why when people say God the Father,
the
they
son.
see God the male.
No.
So they see,
no.
sasa unaniambia God the mwanaume.
Yes.
And sometimes people miss it, but it's
they don't.
a function.
It's a function of life.
Yeah.
God placed in us to be the leader, to direct, to focus, to hold the whole family. In fact, let me rephrase that. You know, the guy said the head of the family is the man. Yeah. True. And I agree with it 100%. But I want to rephrase it and say, like everything that's built on sand, it will collapse.
Yeah, true.
Anything built on a rock will hold. So the man should be the rock holding up the family and saying, it will not collapse. I'm here. Whatever blood and tears I'm going to go through, I'm holding you guys up. I'm going to struggle with you guys to hold up there. That's the calling of a man.
Yeah.
It's
So what changed? Remember we are coming from
that. What changed is, like I said, our fathers were not the mentors who were holding our hands and walking with us and telling us, don't do this. Jesus educated his disciples for 3 continuous years. Non-stop. Where are we with...
Kabla waingie job.
Sit down, pray. Do what? Those are part of the things that he did.
Come I show you. You watch as I do.
Yes. Do as I do. He didn't just instruct and walk away. As guys were given instructions, are expected to follow. Not do as I say. Do as I say, not as I do. That's why you see a parent telling you, anakwambia nilete task yangu, na yeye anakwambia don't drink. Yeah, those kind of things. And I was saying that they didn't bring out the best in us. It's just the hypocrisy of a lot of things that happened that time. And let me tell you for sure, many fathers, because of where they came from, and needed to gain. And you know what happened? It was an age-set thing. The older generation always worked with this generation below them, always taught them. The boys eventually went for rituals which helped them become what we call men. Either some of us were circumcised, others were not, depending on your culture. But you always had a group of people to work with you. Till eventually when you sat around a group of men, you earned it. It didn't just happen by mistake.
Yeah, so true.
You earned it.
When people left, when people were in the village, there was a discipling structure.
Kabisa.
Unaget? Utapigwa hata na jirani.
The whole estate beat you up, the whole village beat you up. You literally brought up by the village.
Yes, but when people migrated to the city, the structure was left behind.
I don't even say it's more like thinking that, you see what we've aped truly, and someone may not agree, is that we have accepted some of the things we consider the culture of the West totally. We should have adopted some things rightfully, inevitably. There's a lot of good on the other side, but there's also some which was not going to work in our context. So what it has done, it has left men in the West also lacking father figures, like we have here. It's the same thing.
So it's borrowed as well. We referred to just a different reference point.
And then also we have brought up the things of feminism and not thinking the man is of value anymore. I even say, in fact, this bring it out. No, men feel our ask is to work and die. Work, provide and die. What is our work? Kazi yetu gani ingine? You look at it this way. How many men go and say, I'm taking care of my dad fully? How many say they're going to take care of their mother? The relationships are different, and I understand that. But what are we showing the younger generation? That who is supposed to be taken care of? The mother, not the father. Who are you?
But you see, there's something interesting I read at some point.
Yes.
They said, there are faces in life, and be careful to see the faces prior to doing life.
Yes.
And they say the first face is you're the lion.
Yes.
Yeah. The lion, you speak like this, everyone runs. Yeah. The second face, the mother, is the new lion.
The new lion, oh, for sure.
Because now the father, umefanya all these things that you're doing, now your budget is depleting. But now the kids left to the States and all. And now they are sending the budget to the mother, just as you've mentioned.
Yes.
And now the mother is the new lion.
She is.
Nyenyekea ama utakula.
Especially with this thing of retirement, which that's why those who didn't take care of their retirement really suffered.
Exactly.
Because now mama anatumiwa pesa, yeye anaweka
na anakumbuka you are Simba.
Na bado unauliza mzee, mzee hakuna chakula kwa nyumba, hujafanya nini? Naende ako na do. But I'm not saying it's affecting every home.
So that's the second one. Wacha nikwambie ya tatu kabla you nini. So the second one, the mom is the new lion.
Yes.
Or the lioness.
Yes.
Then the third one, the kids are the new lion.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now they're the ones who are saying, itabidi muende hospitali. Oh, we'll take you to a home now.
Yes.
An elderly home.
Yes.
Yeah. And what do you do?
But you know what it is? I think we must accept that generational changes will occur. Both physically, emotionally, and mentally. As people age, you'll be called upon to do some roles which you didn't think you are rolling. And that's why you said the third generation talking as the fathers or the parents to the parents.
Yes, now no.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. You do this way.
Utakaa hapa Nairobi.
Utakaa Nairobi na sisi. Hapana, weka hapa. Ama unaambia mama akaa kuja akae na mimi mzee anaachwa peke nyumbani peke yake. It happens, but not every home. But my point is this: we have lost that that thing which brought us all together. What is it? We have we see in very many homes the father provided and that was it. Si amefanya kazi yake. Nimelipa, mnakula ndio. Mko na fees ndio. Mko na nyumba. Mnaenda uchi hapana. Nini nyingine unataka? Now, that was correct. And which is generally what a man is expected to. You must take that responsibility and take it seriously and run with it. But after that, who was connecting emotionally with the rest of the people? The mother. Mother is the one who was there. How many kids? I never a hug from my dad. I don't know who, but maybe eventually somewhere there was a point where my mom hugged me somewhere. Anakupiga lakini anakuambia anakushika wewe na bado ni wangu. So there was a disconnect which came about by not being able to connect with the father, but the mother. And then there was a fear factor. You always feared your dad. Mzee achezagwe na. And you know it was even made worse by the mom. Chakula hata ni ya mzee. Hiyo chakula ni ya baba, usiguse hiyo chakula. Hiyo kiti ni ya mzee. Unakalia kiti ya mzee. Hiyo maji moto umewekea mzee maji.
So she sold
it sold fear in the whole house. There was nothing. Yani he was a demigod in the house.
Yeah, he was a king.
So for us even we were living in unamwangalia tu Mbali. I don't remember us truly sitting happily chatting on a dining table eating the same. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo.
Mtamaliza.
Nani? Nothing. There's nothing like that. So you can understand some things why they were and why the mom ended up being in that position.
Yes. And she's powerful.
By nature, her connection was her more. She was always she always seemed to be mzee anasema silipi hii iende sita mama anakuita baadaye anakuambia shika hii na usiseme. So who did you feel connected to at that point? The mother or the dad?
The mother.
Yeah. So I think and then they slowly gain that power because what is happening as the man ages, he focuses more on the other thing and thinking, no, I don't be disturbed by the children's issues. Sitaki kusumbuliwa nini.
Deal na hizo.
Unakuta bola stima imelipwa, maji iko. People are living in comfort. Yeah. So even if there was emotional issues, who are you going to talk to?
So you've had time to talk to fathers?
Yes, a lot.
Fathers post your dad's generation?
Yes.
They are very different.
Completely.
Yeah. What do you see? Because you've sat down with a lot of them. You've sat down with their boys.
Yes.
You've sat down with moms and trying to talk to them about their kids. What do you see? Because there's a dysfunctionality.
Completely.
There, huge dysfunctionality. If we were to do a surgical operation to the dad of this era, what are some of those things that you would want to just go straight in and useme, this one we have to remove, this one we have to sort?
Do you know the same way our parents were running away from the troubles they left behind? We are running away from how our parents were. We wanted to be different. We wanted to create a nice, comfortable environment. Make sure you provide the good things in the house. Take care. Make sure they are comfortable.
And we over softened it.
All we want to do is make our children comfortable.
Usifanyiwe kama mimi.
Mimi niliumia, nilichapwa mpaka even have issues where I still believe in what the Bible said. You must not spare the rod.
Yes.
It's biblical. I didn't write it down. It's there. And I believe in the Bible.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we even tell parents these days, ukipiga mtoto ni umemkosea. What do you mean umemkosea?
Mtoto atakupeleka mbele.
In any situation, we didn't turn out too bad. I don't know, maybe
tuko tu sawa.
Tuko sawa. Hatuna ubaya, lakini unakuta wazazi wengi leo children should not be beaten. It is your responsibility to mold that, and it says from childhood. Treat them, how you bring them up is how they'll grow to be. If you show them things are, oh, baby don't cry, oh, mtoto, oh, chakula ini ya mtoto, sasa hata uangalie mzee,
sasa ni mtoto sasa.
Sasa ni mtoto ndio mambo ya kila kitu ni so it is shifted. The power base has shifted. So the man is not the man anymore in the house. It's the mother. Mama ndio anaongea, mzee aongei.
Mzee aongei.
Anaambiwa the pressure to provide will always be the same for men, whether they are earning or not earning.
So is the mzee accommodative or passive?
Very passive. In fact,
Hayuko?
The biggest challenge we have is passivity in men. And I'll tell you why. There's some things which I pick from the program called Man Enough. A man must take initiative. How many men today are taking initiative to solve and take care of the things they have? Many men start and fear. Hiyo kitu ni ngumu. I'll not make it. They doubt themselves and their abilities. Why? Even when they are bringing up now, you are never encouraged to fail. So failure is afraid. When you didn't perform, you are literally made to feel useless.
I'm in trouble.
Yes. So men were not allowed to fail. Men were not allowed to not achieve the goals that they were driven to get. So when they didn't, they felt weakened by the system. The system didn't appreciate from them who they are. They were not valued for who they are. So many men started drifting to a point where now, once you married, ni kama nimetosheka. Hiyo sasa nimelipa hiyo deni sasa pole wache nifanye. I don't want to ruffle feathers in the home. Because my dad talked, the whole house knew he was around. Nyumba ya siku hizi huwezi mzae wacha buda. Yeye ni aje.
The confrontation element.
You see, unfortunately, that thing of taking initiative in finances, in love, in managing the household kitty, finances, managing the children, understanding what is in their lives.
Direction.
Yes, let me give you an example. Because of my willingness to attend to and engage in my children's lives, I attended all their school's functions. And so that I can understand how the school is functioning and influence from the inside, I even joined the board of governors. So that you can try and influence and understand why things are going there, so that you have a voice. But in those functions, even when you had a program called
intentionally,
yes, because we bring speakers to talk to parents. Men were always less than 30%. Of 100, they were never 30.
And you know now it's a culture.
It's a culture.
Yeah.
Men don't have time to go and spend time. Mama and atafanya. So who is engaging with the children all the time? It's the mother. Who looks like they are present for them? It's the mother. Who looks like they know what they are doing? It's the mother.
Direction.
I'll tell you an example. There's a young man who I mentored the boys to men program in one school. It was a high cost class, expensive school. So him and his dad don't engage. Mzee akiingia kwa gari asubuhi, anamdrop, anaweka maina kageni na kiss 100. Waongei. Anafika home, mdada atoka kwa gari, they don't communicate. Akikuja home, mzee ako kwa TV ama anako kwa laptop. They don't talk. Who is bringing up the boy? Who is encouraging the boy? Now, it's about parenting which has gone south. In other words, we are not holding the bull and going there and saying, hii ni mzigo ni yangu, sitawachilia. Huwezi wachilia watu wengine wa bring. How can you let the society bring up your child without your guidance? Today's society is not, and I'm not going to keep bringing up today children of millennials. we have failed as parents.
It's responsibility that has
We
to
have
be
failed
taken.
as parents. Unfortunately, it has handed down from our fathers because they were not there in our lives.
So we don't know how to be there for anyone.
Exactly. And now from that, they are moved to the next one. They're not there for their lives. Who is going to do it?
So how do we bridge this gap? Jew, a guy is coming and saying, me, my father, I don't know. We have never been, I've never been given that attention. So I don't know how to give.
Exactly.
this
But
attention.
fatherhood is a way of life. You know, fatherhood is, just because I bought a child doesn't make me a father. I'm just a dad. You heard the word deadbeat dads.
Anaongezeka.
Well, unfortunately, that's a reality. But the thing is this, many deadbeat dads are who they are simply because they don't know what is better, what direction. You see, it's an ego trip. A thing where trying to see whether my manhood is spreading my seed more around. My manhood is having more women in my life. Because what do they know? They don't know anything. Who has guided them to something better? Who has told them this is how men behave? This is how you react when you face with these challenges. This is how you hold back. This is how you confront.
By their Jew.
Nobody tells them. And the worst thing is that the children, wao wengi wa leo, their fathers have been emasculated. Many of them, they see the strong person in the house as who? The mother. So even in the house, utakuta kuna vitu slowly, they're drifting toward soft edge. Oh, wezi rukia kwa kiti, utaumia. And wezi, unakimbia hapana, msikimbie. Don't slide in mud, don't walk in the... I tell you, when we were growing up, tulikuwa na mlema zingine tulikamteremko hivi ya matope. That's like kuna kitu tulikuwa mbeta.
Yeah.
Go-kart.
Yes.
Unaitengeneza na bearings.
Na bearing na mbao.
Unakuta mteremko hivi, unaipindua hivi. Madhe, but you still did it. Unakuja umeumia huko hata kujifa unaochifa, madhe asikuone.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things which we have tried to soften, just to accommodate and make life comfortable, not difficult. Hata usiwezi umia, ukiumia ni makosa. Babi, daddy.
Usiride bike bila gas.
Hata mtoto anaitwa daddy siku hizi. Hapo yeye ndio daddy. Yaani amshapewa hiyo title ya daddy. So imagine it's a combination of so many things. Yeah. But there is hope. That's all I can say. Yeah. There is hope. Fatherhood is a calling, because when men are told, the Bible says, my people perish for a lack of what? Knowledge. It is without doubt exactly that. These men don't know better. And they are frustrated because they are wondering, why isn't it working? Yes. Even when they want to try, it doesn't work because they don't even know how to bring it out, how to communicate with the wife, how to communicate with the children, how to get a family to sit together and share and bond and lead whatever it is in the house. Yeah. That's why you must take initiative. It's a calling. It's not just waking up one day and it's a calling. Fatherhood is big.
To get a child is not being a
father. It's two willing people just going together, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
You see,
yes.
Men as well have a limitation because men depend on logic. If it makes sense, it makes sense. But there's a principle that says knowledge exists even without your knowledge.
I agree.
You're saying. Where, when you try to find logic on content you don't have, hakuna vile itatoka. Haiko.
That's why I would encourage any man to ask themselves, how do I do this? Because let me tell you, the worst thing is regretting later in life, saying my child ona sasa will. He has chosen a wayward way of life.
Yeah.
He has chosen to have drugs because he doesn't know better. And it's not that he wasn't told drugs are bad. Yeah. It's simply because he wasn't cultured to know that trying out this is not the solution. You can't try out everything. You need to create wisdom in them to be able to make the right decisions. In fact, parenthood and fatherhood especially is helping your son and eventually your children, your daughter too. Because at the end of it, your children will marry a man who they ape.
And likewise,
a boy will marry a woman who they think they would love to be. It's because it's foolhardy to think that love is what makes a relationship. Love dies out in every marriage.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
So after that, then what?
It's actually not about it. It's
Yes,
about
yes.
a commitment.
There are a lot more things. We, as guys who've been married for long, no, love will die out somewhere. So what else will keep you together? Are you working as a team? Mm-hmm. Are you team so and so? Are you team Kamau, team Onyango, team Mwamburi, team Waluhe, whatever it is? Are you and your wife? Are your children seeing a team effort in both of you? Mm-hmm. Are we bringing children together? You as a father bringing your strength and the mother bringing their strength, so that the children see there's strength in both sides. Yeah. Who is the man? Because let me tell you, it doesn't matter. You know, sometimes, especially with this feminism thing, there's this thing to think that we are trying to sit on the women. What is there to see? So a broken society is not about broken. It's not about having men who are weak.
It's not about one against the other. It's a team, like
it's a team effort. But you see, even those women who are in those relationships don't know that. Everyone was me I know for a fact, mama yangu alikuwa anamwambia mkasichana wewe nunua kitu unaweka kando nini afanya hivi, because they didn't see that from their husbands. There was no team effort. Our fathers did not have team effort. Anajenga peke yake analeta hapa. Yes. So many of those women and the children who are born like mine, all they saw was the man provided. So now aren't you providing? Aren't you doing? Want you taking initiative? What's driving you? What's not driving you? But they have been emasculated by now. They don't speak in their homes. Mama ndiye anaongea akiingia watu wote now it has turned to
mama ndio simba.
Mama ndio simba sasa kwa nyumba.
Hata mzee anaona tu.
Yes, yeah.
Tumekosea.
Imagine. So it's a thing where I would say it's not the men alone women need to understand a good, strong, focused, driven, powerful, strong man is a good thing. I don't see anything wrong with a strong man. Because at the end of the day, let me tell you, you ask women who've been married for long, they don't have a passive man.
Utaki.
But you want to still hold him back even as he's trying to. So you need to ask him, husband, I know we're in this together. How do we grow together? How do we bring this together? I'm here, I'm your partner. I'm here to help you achieve.
I'm for you.
We are in this team together. That's what's lacking in many marriages. Now, many men feel lonely.
Two teams in one.
Imagine, your game itachezwaje against this other team. The other team is life. Yeah. The other team is the struggles of life. The children, the relatives, the friends, the job. And you're fighting as two different
COVID
people.
Vita,
yote COVID ishacha. Wewe umeona manyumba ngapi zimeland?
Zimeland more.
Mingi sana. Because now you've learned, unless we are a team, there's no team in the house. There is no team in the house. So it is a calling which men need to finally find their footing and understand. A good man is one who takes initiative, lives responsibly, leads sacrificially. Responsible means he cares for everyone in the house. He's responsible enough to know my children need to be taken to school and I go and participate in their activities. Strong enough to say, I will sacrifice and spend my day with my daughter at a function somewhere. Strong enough to know that my wife needs me to go and walk with her sometimes. Not for anything but to bond. Have coffee for the right reason. Are we a team sitting down? Okay, now, this team called Team Kanyarati. Yeah. Team Kanyarati, where are we now? Where are we going? What is driving us?
Are we lost?
So that you have common purpose. Because you look, a team with no vision dies.
It's true. It's true.
When the Champions League kule Europe, all the team want to do is win the goal. If you don't have a goal to win, what are you going to achieve? Nothing. You can't be saying, I want to win that gold cup, but you're not acting as a team. So many men need to call their wives together and say, you know what, where we have reached where we have reached. Can we recollect and ask ourselves, what can we do differently? That will change the game. And I ask this, that's why I'm saying taking initiative. How do we change this game? How do I bring trust in our relationship that we'll be able to say, ukiwa na shilingi yako moja ni yetu, sio yako peke yako.
Because that's borrowed. That's borrowed from that point.
Yes.
That point where the man was doing vitu zake, and now the lady is now feeling like, hey, I need
hata mimi ni lazima niwe na zangu.
Then, yeah.
So what's the use?
So now the next generation comes and say, mimi niko naona madhaki.
Feature. That's what our mothers were taught, most of our wives. Unaweka nyuma, lazima niweke hapa nyuma.
Huwezi jua.
Mama ataka, mzee hawezi jua. Niko na shares, niko na shamba, niko na plot. You could be even living in the house where you are paying rent to your own wife. So it happens. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but you know what? Put it on the table and have those. Unfortunately, women think men don't communicate, but how are we communicating? How are you going to tell the man that he's not communicating? You can't just bash him into it, you force him into it. It's a process that will take long. But I believe there's hope, there's understanding, and it's going to happen.
If you're to help men, men who are getting into marriage, who are in marriage, you've sat down with many men and they're telling you, hapa ndio inaniuma. If you're to highlight things for the sake of the women to hear,
yes,
what would you tell these women to, as you help the men?
Okay. First thing I say is, again, knowledge. Knowledge brings, you seek knowledge to get understanding, so that you operate in wisdom.
Yes.
Do you get?
Yeah. Knowledge. You understand it.
And then you,
because wisdom is now applying the knowledge.
So many of us are operating in our relationships without any of that information. You need information that will help you know that your wife cannot never and will never think like a man.
She's not a man.
And she'll never. Women feel. Women must feel. Whatever it is, that's my feel. If she doesn't feel, she cannot get. You are not talking to her. Her language is to feel. Emotional connection. So many men are in relationships with their wives and they're not emotionally connected to their wives. So men need to understand that, what language can I speak to my wife that will make him understand? You need to draw and create first. The first thing is to create trust. Likewise, she needs to understand the man is only logical. He can only think things logically. So sometimes you need to put the emotion aside and say, no, I understand that this is how I normally am. But I would, so that we agree and start this journey together, what these logical things are what? A, B, C, D. Because screaming and shouting and trying to drown it into a person will never work.
Yeah.
You must have that conversation. No, many homes don't converse. They don't talk. They don't share.
You know, to a man, it's a science.
It's a science. And then we're in boxes.
It's an art.
Oh, you are saying the right word. Say that again.
To a man, it's a science.
Say my word.
To a woman, it's an art.
Exactly. And let me tell you, women must feel. If a woman doesn't feel, that's where there are things in her that will be moving, that will make her feel. That's why when she feels, she loves you. When she feels, she'll cook for you happily. When she feels, she will share everything you have. But when she's not feeling, she feels lost. She feels like she's not loved. She feels like she's not understood. She's feel.
Confused.
Completely. She must, all those things must come. So for her to get that love in her. So men need to understand this is how women think. So first, our idea is not to change the genders. The genders were described and the roles clear, but God created them that way. The idea is to how do we live together in knowledge? It's coming and ask, okay, Mary, what are the things that you like, that you think I am failing? And without judging, listen.
Open conversation.
Open conversation. Like we are doing now. This is open. And say, oh, you know what? And without judging. You know, the problem with many relationships is judging and coming with some preconceived ideas of how things must be.
People do that a lot.
I already come.
I know what you're thinking.
Now, I have a word for that thing. It's called already always listening. I'll give you an example. I call you. You pick your phone. I owe you. You owe me money.
Yeah.
When you pick, you think this guy is asking me for my money. True or false? True or false?
The conversation.
You're already thinking in your mind, so you start saying, ile kitu
sijakusahau.
Anakuambia kaka, hata sio dola nilikuwa nataka kuuliza.
Ndio sio story.
Kuna kitu kingine nataka kuuliza, ile mpango iko vipi? Tunaweza ifanya. You see, it's called already always listen. You're already speaking, and many relationships, in fact, I'd say comfortably, 90%
It's called what?
already always listening. You're already thinking and saying, ushaamua vile unataka kusikia ama unasema.
Oh, wow.
So sit down and ask yourself, so what is my wife telling me and why? But she needs to also go and ask herself and read. I say knowledge means you go seek, and there are books which will not help you. The Bible is a good place to start, but more so also founded on what is principled and what will not scatter the family. There are things of 5 things that especially for women, 10 things that men need to grow them closer. And who is written by a woman. So is she going to understand how the woman? So her perspective is emotion based, but the man is not emotional. Likewise, on the other hand, she needs to ask, this man is not emotional. What is he? How does he
something?
When he says it's a box which needs to be handled, that box is not another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 box.
They are not connected.
They're not connected. So you say, oh, you know what? Hey, we're having financial issues. The woman is thinking, the fees will not be paid, the house rent will not be paid, electricity, rent, we don't have fees, we don't have food. So, and yet all he's saying, we're having financial issues. It doesn't mean he'll not manage to pay all those things. Yeah. But you see what in her mind, what she was already always thinking is, but maybe all he needs to get an understanding of how we can bring the best out of that money we have. Can we re-engineer ourselves? Can we? So you see, it's those channels and boxes which
very true.
Which need so and okay. So now you say, this is how a man thinks. Okay, so how can I talk and communicate with him? You say, you know what? Okay, a man needs to solve problem one at a time. He just needs one solution, so that we can find a way of solving that problem together.
Otherwise, he gets overwhelmed.
He can handle. Unamwambia sijalipa fees. And that's why, let me explain. And often your wife or a woman will come to you, a girlfriend, to tell you, you know what? We are expecting a baby. Okay. Maybe he didn't expect. And maybe it was not in a formal marriage. But it has happened. It has happened.
I see.
So now that guy is the wife, the woman, by the time she's coming to talk to the man, she has thought about it. She has evaluated the pros and cons. She has come with she has talked with someone. She has, in her mind, she knows what she needs. But now she comes and says, now you are okay. Now I'm expecting. The man is wondering, expecting what? Then she says, what do you mean? Are you asking me what are you expecting? So you see, first, vita imeingia. Yet maybe he needs time to internalize. Ask himself the right questions. Digest. Siphon it. Alafu aseme, oh, you told me. Okay. Instead, there's a way you can say, you know what, sweetheart, my love, my wife, I'm expecting. This is the difference. We need to start. We need to tuanze kuongea tuone vile I know you haven't thought. I'm telling you because it's news. So tuko pamoja, usijali, we are together. Do you know how much difference that will make for the man? Sio vita. There's a way. It's conversation. Sio vita. Unajua often people come with this thing. Then you give the man time to internalize, think about it. So even when he's sitting and I come, oh, hi, sweetheart, hey, the story, okay. I don't know what to do yet, but we'll think, we'll work. So when a woman here, I don't know what to do, you are rejecting. But maybe all he needs to do is to think about what he's going to do. No, a woman has already decided we need a baby coat, we need towels, we need what, we need to start paying for maternity fees. But he hasn't thought about it. Hajaweka do kando, hajafanya nini. Exactly. But yet there's a way you can communicate that information. And it comes out and she's able to say, oh, okay. I'm telling you so that, but don't get offended. I'm not trying to bribe you. I'm not trying to blackmail you. I just want you to hear so that if we can do it together, we're a team. I would love you to walk with me this journey. Yeah. If you're not married, if you're married, you say, sweetheart, I'm just giving from. I hope you're happy like I am, but don't worry.
We'll figure it out.
This will work, we'll figure it out. But don't come and tell the man and expect him to give you all the answers. Ajui.
Hospitali ni gani sasa?
Ajui. Unaongea mambo ya hospitali gani?
Wacha kwanza nikuulize there.
Yes.
There. Something about not knowing.
Yes.
How is it that it's not allowed?
You know?
Yeah. So how is it that you're not allowed not to know?
Unfortunately, like I was saying, women come ready, prepared in their mind, and they know exactly what they do. They have internalized, thought, processed, and everything. By the time she anakwambia, he knows everything. The man has not thought, ajui, nitaanzia wapi? Oh, atuna, stima imekatwa. Okay.
Nimesikia.
Okay. And maybe even, she's wondering, why aren't you getting angry? Why you uniski? Simekwambia stima imekatwa. It's not to say he doesn't know. It's just that he's processing. He's thinking, wow, my God, it has happened. I was praying that this day doesn't happen, but okay, it has happened. Okay. Maybe it's a surprise to the wife. Unfortunately, men sometimes, he's hoping something will happen.
Yeah.
And he'll overcome. But it's their way of handling it. And the thing is, can you imagine if that woman, same woman came and said, hey, sweetheart, must they imagine stima imekatwa? What do you think we can? What is there a way we can, how can we do? Can we? Is there? Tunaweza saidiana ili pace. It's not your vita.
How kama saisi possible ni we tukule tulale.
Kesho, I'm sure, sweetheart, you don't, because for sure, which man wants to be in darkness in their house?
Hakuna.
And it's not science. Nani anataka? Uliambiwa ni nani? Ulisikia wapi? So in other words, it's and I'm not bashing the women because the man on the other hand, and I have niko na kiboka ya wanaume pia. You should have been able to say, come to your wife and say, you know, sweetheart, I'm going through this difficult situation. And I know you may not be exactly, probably I may not handle it the way you want.
Yes.
But please listen to me. Imagine I'm struggling to pay the electricity. I don't know what to do. Nimetafuta. Sijaget. Kama unaweza nisaidia nitashukuru. Kama wena, najua inaweza katwa lakini sio kukata. Will get it done. Meanwhile, I'm doing everything and you better believe that man. Who wants to be in darkness? Nani hataki kulipiwa stima? So it's two ways. Learning to communicate and learning to hear. Not many of us hear but don't understand. Are you listening?
And are you
hearing and understand? You must listen and he listen to. Also, emotional blackmail, both ways does not work. Either from the man or the woman.
And it's there, Lord.
Wow. And I think it's the biggest breaker in many marriages because mine is...
Because anyway, humans are manipulative.
So,
and kids want to
exactly.
manipulate.
So you
grow and bring
yes. I mean, it's something that is common and drawn out in many.
It's a human skill.
Exactly. We learn it and we perfect it. And unfortunately, women do it better than the men. There's some crazy men who are emotionally bashers. And in many relationships, they need emotional blackmail is I think one of the worst.
Then when it starts, it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. And it draws out men in anger. Do you know many relationships today, you have people are angry. They are not, even now unasikia hiyo COVID na chapa wase, kuna mtu anashindwa sasa hii, it's never, even if we are not getting out of it, how can we do this, grow together, love each other?
From frustration?
Frustrations. Many men are just frustrated because one, there's the expected things we are supposed to do. Do you know how many men today are unable to pay rent?
Be a man.
But do you know that conversation would mean you have that conversation and be a bibi, unajua, we don't have a choice. We must move to a cheaper house.
Are you easy?
We must. You're not, now you see, it's the initiative to make that decision so that but you see, you can't say, twende tunaenda. She will not accept, she'll struggle with that thing. She needs to hear you, understand you. This is the only plan I have. This is what I have on the table. This is how I can do it. She may even have a solution for us. But did you give her the opportunity to do? Likewise, the woman should be able to listen. But men don't talk, and the women, when they hear, ni vita.
Amelipuka.
Analipuka. Sasa wewe, watoto watalala wapi? Nini? Yet, Which man wants to see his children sleep on the street? Is there a man who wakes up saying, leo nataka wanaume walale, watoto walale kwa street?
Everyone means well.
Thank you.
Motive si mbaya.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things which I believe will change the world.
If you were to talk to your son,
Yes.
tuseme unazima stima. As men, a day will come where the curtains will be drawn.
True.
Sindio?
Yes.
And they speak a lot about the deathbed and all those things.
I'm in my second half of this game.
Yeah.
Kipindi cha
kama
mpira,
ukizima stima
Leonard
sahi,
Mambo alikuwa anasema kipindi cha lala salama.
Ungekuwa ukizima stima sahi, what is it that you tell your son about manhood?
First thing is, okay, well, I'll tell him the 5 things which I think Pastor Mbevi and his group of Man Enough has done. A man takes initiative, leads responsibly, takes initiative, lives responsibly, leads sacrificially, because it's a sacrifice. Then, loving faithfully and leaving a legacy. One of the things I tell my son, you cannot be living for yourself. I'm dying. Who did I touch? There's a young man who I met when I was, in fact we were talking yesterday, in 2011, in Aquinas High School. I have walked with him the journey till today. He comes from a single parent household.
When mzai wake?
I'm his mentor. He calls me all the time. He reaches, like now during COVID, alikuwa anafanya kazi, kibarua mahali, ikakatika. I helped him parent. He never ever called me for rent before. Akaniambia, unajua, I'm going through this. I walked with him. Occasionally I would meet him and we'd have coffee and tea together. The same thing I would want to do and I do with my son. There's a time, unfortunately, because of I used to have breakfast with my daughter once a week.
Intentionally?
Intentional. How else do I bond with my daughter? How do I share? My son likewise.
Tukutane.
We must. And then, of course, I must make my wife a priority. My children will go and leave me with my wife.
Wanaendanga?
Wenda, wanamwacha, wanamwambia bye. Nimeenda kwangu. I'm going nimeenda kwangu. Because we always want the next generation to do their thing. So there's some things you must really go out of your way to do for the home to be, for that relation. My son, I tell him, okay, so I tell him, you didn't live for yourself. Who did you grow? Who did you process? Yeah. Who did you generate? No, apart from your family, what else did you do for other people?
Who did you
leave a mark? Did you grow someone else? Did you encourage someone else? Did you work with other men, other people? Did you leave a mark somewhere?
No,
the kind of things which it's not enough you cannot live for yourself. Money is good, and who doesn't love? Kwanza mimi ni Kikuyu, Okuyu, pesa. We love money, but that money on its own, we have seen many families that are super rich. When the patriarch, the father dies, what happens?
They go to war.
So what's the use?
Yeah.
So why didn't he leave, call them and tell them, you know what, I am as rich as this. From my early age, I am as rich as I am now. This is what I own, it's my kingdom. How do we make this generational wealth? How do we pass these riches to the next generation and they grow it to the next? You look at the world, all these, apart from the tech companies, the big tech companies we talk about, all those companies are 100+ years.
It's true.
It's generation. They're what, 5th, 6th generation? Why aren't we able here to do that here? Unawachia nyumba, collapse. Ni vita sasa umewacha kwa nyumba. But I blame the father. What did he do to help the children learn that this is ours? It's not, najenga alafu nikatakate, we shika yako enda. We katakata yengo. It's not communal. We don't develop or grow our property or our things as communal.
By that, akienda and I destroy.
So you see, there's no need of living. Alafu like one of the rich people, he left a group of men to manage his property instead of his children. And you know they messed it up. It has not grown. Afadhali museme ni sisi tulijimesia. Lakini you can't be blaming someone else.
Yeah,
so what you should put it on the table early enough. I mean, the best advice I can give a father. My father did it. Though he divided, the best thing you can do as your children. And most families are 2-3 kids.
This is community.
4, 5, 2, 3 kids. A big family is through children. Wambia aya, these are my riches. Kiwanja ndio hii. The plot ndio hii, shamba ndio hii. What next? How can we make this better? At an early age, early enough. Don't wait when you're 70s ndio una. They've already made up their minds. Everything is formed from an early. Why do you think the Asians do well? Mtoto anaanza kuenda dukani na baba yake akiwa what? 3-4 years. He's running around in the shop. Anatumwa enda hapa uchukue change kwa hapo. And he starts learning the skills of money at an early age. How many of us parents were taught anything? I was not taught anything about money by my dad. Really? He expected me to save and do everything, but did he? Did it?
Hakukuambia kati ni kuambia.
He didn't. You know, there's a way you can be taught, and especially and if he's doing, and okay, this is my account. This is how I'm growing it. I want you to start this small account with 10 shillings. I'll help you grow.
Yes,
so that you start getting the skills of doing these things. Are we doing that? Even for your daughter. Why am I telling you to save? Because ours guys ni kumaliza. Often when we want to.
It's true. Yes. And it's so interesting. What you said is very interesting, that you build in the name of building for your family.
Yes.
But sasa leo unaenda kuzima lights, unadai.
Unakata.
Una pasua hii kitu. So unashanga, why are you breaking a whole thing in the name of living for? So you're living a piece that probably is not functional on its own.
Exactly. And you know what? Unfortunately, I'm not perfect even myself.
Yeah.
But I try. I engage my children. I keep telling them this. What I'm doing is ours, not mine.
Yeah. I
want you to run this slow. You are going to start running. You will be running. My son is already doing some things to run for me. My daughter is involved in this. She's in all our companies. We are growing them. We want them to grow together. He runs around for me. I have mobile toilets, for example.
Yeah.
And my son is the one who's running them.
Nice.
How else is he going to grow and learn? He's owning it. Yes.
I see.
When we go for events, in fact, he's the one sometimes who go usiku baridi anaangalia choo. Can you imagine? Even if maybe it's someone else, he's going to run around. Asubuhi endi okari, anachukua gari, anaenda zinaweko lewa juu, anarudisha mahali zilikuwa kwa store. They need to be cleaned out. How is he going to learn if I don't give him the responsibility of doing that?
Nice.
He's even a signatory to my accounts for the company. How do you help him learn and understand money early? There's no other way. We must grow that money.
Very true.
So I pray that this country will get more old men saying, you know what? Hata kama nitasema hii ni yako. Can we grow this together? There are many, but you know what? Did you start early? You can't expect to hurt when they're in their 40s, 50s, ndio naambia sasa nataka mfanye kazi pamoja. They've never worked together, never done team.
Now you're imposing.
You can't impose. They don't know what you're talking about. Hiyo ni yako mzee, we buda, we maliza, we funga mataa. Sisi kila mtu abebe.
Mtu ajikate.
So that's there's a lot in terms of fatherhood. Let me tell you, and I'll say again, father is destiny. People don't take granted. Let me say this. For the ladies, a man's responsibility, yes, it's both ways.
Talk to the ladies.
Yeah, and talk to the men too. And mine is not to bash. You see, I've not bashed. Mine is not to. I have no idea. Why should I bash? I understand that it's a two-way traffic. One, girls need a father figure in their lives. When I say father figure, it's not necessarily biological.
See gender.
If you can get an uncle, a grandfather who literally is ready and willing, or even a father, a close friend who is ready and willing to walk with your daughter so that she gets an understanding of what manhood a man looks like. I pray that he'll find a man also who has his game together. He's focused, he's a bit driven. We're not asking for perfection. There's no perfection. There's no perfect. But a man who generally does the right things, generally.
Yeah.
Atateleza, lazima tuanguke.
You're gonna compass.
Yeah. So, but at least he'll be holding her hand and telling her yes, spending time with her, telling her this is what men like, this is what men do. With time, by the time she's 13, because that's when now puberty checks in, she will get this thing of understanding. This is the kind of man I would like my wife, husband to be like. And start understanding men. Without that, it's lost. And that's why we say the man is the one who calls out the womanhood in the girl. because the man or the father figure or the mentor is the first man she falls in love with. In life. The father,
First preference.
yes. First preference, number one. Likewise, the boy is the one who calls out the manhood in the man. How we behave with other men, how we behave with when there are women around you. This is how you treat women. This is how is he going to learn? Another woman telling her son, this is how you treat. She doesn't know. We are different. Because you can't, I'm thinking logically, you are thinking emotionally.
Yes.
So you need to explain to the boy, you know what? He needs a man to walk with him. I pray even those who have bad relationships that are not working, or the man who disappointed the woman, will be able to say, I know, I struggled with my husband, or this man, or the man who disappointed me, who dumped me. All those things happen. And I'm a single parent and I've been struggling. But it's time to say, I need to let go.
So would you tell?
I need to let go and say, my son will get another man to work with him. There are many women who don't want, they are so angry with the man that they're afraid even for him to have relationships with other men. And he's a boy.
So for the single father or single mother,
yes,
don't as well suffocate.
No, in fact, that's the biggest mistake. In fact, there's a word which, again, I'll keep referring to this man called Pastor Ben. He calls them pink men. There's a lot of confusion in their life, in their minds, either sexually or otherwise.
What's a pink man?
A pink man is one who is not driven with, they're the basic characteristics of a man that are, wow. No, a pink man, of course, again, of course, won't take initiative. He's weak in the weak character. Is passive, very passive, has no drive. That's a pink man. But you want a man with character and firm. That woman needs to know this man will only become a man if he's working with other men. That boy needs a man who will hold his hand and go and do vitu za ujinga huko like we do.
Na wanaume.
Na hiyo ni he wants to go for a rally, anakimbia, anaumia kidogo, ni sawa, mazee amka bana, twende. You're not telling him he cannot cry. What you're telling him, baba, umeamka, umeumia, ni wapi, lakini usijali mazee, kwa sawa. Let's go again, let's go back.
So even for the
akianguka na bicycle, hawezi ride bike tena, ameumia. No, let him ride the bike again and go and fall again. That's how we learn.
Grow.
How will he grow? Disappointments will come. Teach him. A father does not hide information from the son. He will tell him the truth and be open.
As is.
As is. And that man is not the wife. A woman will never play the role of a man in his life.
So,
yes, and likewise the man.
A single woman,
yes,
or a single man.
Yes. The other way, both needs both.
A single mother or a single father.
Yes, needs either sex to help.
Is clear?
Peke yako, no.
So lazima for the man, go find your daughter a lady, a woman who will teach her.
It could be an auntie. It could be a close younger married couple who they can help. Where sometimes you have to assess. Anaenda wapi hii nyumba wako, and you talk to them as a couple. You talk to them as a couple and say, you know what, I'm a single father. I know there's that many women fear, akikuja kwa nyumba anaweza katakata vingi. Lakini you need to explain to them as a couple. You know what, this is how I feel. My son doesn't have a father figure. Please honor me by helping my son become the man you would like him to be. Talk to the other. In fact, start with the wife. Mwambie, unajua, I don't have a man in my life. Can your husband play the role? And then they talk and agree. Ili hiyo story ikiletwa kwa mzee, often mzee ana shida. Most men don't have, and I'll walk, kijana, mshika tunaenda. Ni sawa. Likewise, you need to look for either a family where there's a close relationship, where the daughter can be put with another family, another auntie, another friend, for that.
Interview is isha.
Yes, isha.
So tumalize in a classical way, tunamaliza na introduction.
Sema. Now, my name is Jackson Kanyarati.
That's nice, eh? We listen to principles, then we finish from the beginning.
My biggest love is God. I love God. Because without him, I would be nothing. He has picked me from the pits to bring me where he is.
Yeah.
He walks with me and I'm safe. But more so, I have a love of my life, my wife. We've been married almost 25 years now. And it's been a blessing of a marriage.
2 decades.
We've gone through the whole
Spectrum
of up, down, and now we are stability. I can confidently say today that my marriage is at its best right now. In other words, it's the marriage I always prayed that I would always have. I hope and believe that that's the same calling my wife has. We are a team and it's working. We are blessed with 2 children. My son is 23 and my daughter is going to turn 20 in a few months. So that's me. I'm passionate about the boy child and men in particular. It's a calling which God put in my heart. And I go out and preach it. And then I've also found that for any marriage, even a single mom to be able to take care of her son, or a married woman who is a couple, what are they seeing? What are they aping? That aping is what will guide the children. What have they been seeing? Mm-hmm. You need to be a family that is together, growing together, showing love, and without emotional blackmail in the house, because it's common both ways. I'm a businessman. There's another version of my life, which is I've never been employed by anybody. That's 20. I left university in 92, graduated in 93. Till now, I've never really been employed by anyone. It's been a roller coaster of a journey, but I love it. There's a lot. Right now, I'm doing property development, and I'm trying to focus on technology in that sector. So, yeah, that's
very nice.
That's where I am.
Great.
Yeah.
Truly appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, the conversation imekuwa, it's been raw, it's been real.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad that it took its own shape on
It
its
did.
own.
It did.
Yeah.
Look where we started and where we are now.
Yeah, where we are
Looks
now.
like we are cycling in that area. Yes.
Yeah. And that's a good thing because it's authentic.
Yes.
And my prayer is whoever listens to it will meditate on these things, on these principles that have been lifted over different generations as reference points in our conversation. And at the same time that they can just share it and let other people get the benefit of this conversation. So asante sana. My name is SK, for those ones who may not know me. I'm the MD of Gold Avenue Africa, and this is Clean Money Podcast, right here on Clean Money TV. Asanteni sana, till next time. This conversation tunafaa tufanye hiyo piece ingine.
Tutaendelea. Tuko na kazi.
Kabisa. Baraka.
Barikiwa pia.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This is Clean Money TV.